Animism is a word that derives from the Latin word anima, meaning soul, life, or breath. So to give an object from anything such as a river, a rock, a stream, a plant, and make it animistic, it means that it's been given essentially a soul. It's been given a life. And in stories, fairy tale stories, we often give these objects human qualities and we humanize and personify them. And we see this all the time, especially in videos or movies made for children.
My name is Marcelle. Oh no, that's not the first time I've done that. My name is Marcelle, and I'm partially a shell, as you can see on my body, but I also have shoes and a face, so.
Us with her beauty.
What's that?
Forgive me, maturity is making me poetic. Tell me, you're older and thus all-knowing. Do you ever worry about the notion that nothing is permanent?
Oh, man! Hook 'em up, Mater.
Stories do this because it's an effective way to get through to a child reader. A child's mind is only going to comprehend what it's experienced in life thus far. So for a child who hasn't had all these life experiences, a story that's too real isn't going to get through to them necessarily as much as maybe taking an inanimate object and making it animated to teach a lesson or tell a story or to move a story forward or be the protagonist. A kid is going to grasp onto that and understand that and be more excited by it a lot more than too real of a situation. Do cars have noses?
No.
I thought you said cars have noses.
They don't have people moving?
But they have car noses? Yeah?
Yeah, not people moving.
Do cars breathe?
They have air fresheners, they can.
If cars have air fresheners, they can breathe? Okay. And this concept of a story only being comprehensible to the world that we've experienced and we live in doesn't only work for kids, it also plays out for adults as well. And to quote Bettelheim from The Child's Need for Magic, "Whatever our age, only a story conforming to the principles underlying our thought processes carry conviction for us." So as an adult, we understand that when we look at a situation, we have to look at it from more than just our perspective. We have to look at it from multiple perspectives, even though it may be hard for us to get away from our biased opinion, whereas a kid is solely looking at what a story is telling them, because to them, that story is according to their own experiences, therefore that story is true. The Grimm story that I've chosen to analyze under the lens of Bettelheim's A Child's Need for Magic it's a short one, it's kind of an odd one. They're all kind of odd, I guess, but the straw, the coal, and the bean. And essentially it's a story about this woman trying to make a pot of beans for dinner, and one bean falls on the floor and one straw that she was using to get the fire started falls on the floor, and this piece of coal sees them both on the floor and leaps down and they're all trying to come up with this plan of how they're going, now that they've escaped their death, of how they're going to all move to a foreign country and live together. And of course we know that neither a straw nor coal nor a bean has emotions or feelings, but again, to quote Bettelheim, "To the child, there is no clear line separating objects from living things, and whatever has life very much like our own. If we do not understand what rocks and trees and animals have to tell us, the reason is that we are not sufficiently attuned to them. The child trying to understand the world, it seems reasonable to expect answers from those objects which arouse his curiosity." Therefore, taking these objects, such as a bean, a coal, and a straw, and giving them human qualities, making them animistic, it does appeal to a child's curiosity more, and it allows them to understand a story better, or the lesson or moral of a story. Not that every story has a lesson or moral, but this one certainly does. All three of the newly found friends all fall demise to qualities of their own. The straw lays himself out on a bridge so that they can cross, and the coal walks across and freaks out, seeing the water, and stops and burns a hole through the straw, and the coal is extinguished and the straw is split in half. The bean sees this and laughs so hard that he splits himself open. And it would have been all over with her, likewise, if, by good fortune, a tailor who was traveling in search of work had not sat down to rest by the brook. As he had a compassionate heart, he pulled out his needle and thread and sewed her together. The bean thanked him most prettily, but as the tailor used black thread, all beans since have had a black seam. The lesson of this story that some friendships are meant to be burnt, spilt, or extinguished can quite literally be more grasped by a child because they are literally falling demise to their own compositions, whereas it would be a lot harder to portray that with the use of real people or a more realistic story. So now I wanted this next portion to be me interviewing my two little cousins that I live with. One is Violet, 8 years old, and the other Asher, who is 5 years old. So I'm going to read the story to them, and then I'm going to ask them a couple questions. Do you think that the use of the straw, a coal, and a bean is more effective in telling the story than if it were real people?
Yes.
Yeah? How so?
Well, if it was real people, they could just hop over the brook in a wing. And if the lady burned a person, that would be considered cannibalism and would make a far longer story that didn't end so well. I used him as a bridge.
The straw did use him as a bridge.
That's the cousins I know.
Do you think that it was fair that everybody but the bean died?
No, not really, because, well, they're all from different categories. Coal is a rock, straw is a plant, and beans are food.
Mm-hmm.
So when the rock and the straw die, the bean should die as well because they're all equal.
What do you think is the moral or lesson of the story, if there is one?
Never make a straw bridge and put a coal on it. That's my moral. Don't make a straw in the hole so it could die and then it dies and then it dies. Let's see.
Even though it's a coal, a bean, and a straw, do you still have emotions for them? Do you still feel bad for them?
Yes, because the straw was born in a big group in a field with thousands of little brothers, sisters, moms, and dads. And you watched them all be destroyed. And the coal, as for, is it a girl or a boy?
The coal is a boy and the bean is a girl.
Okay. I lost my heel. He would have died from the flames, and so would have the bean and the straw. So when they escaped, it was good so that they could go and plant new seeds.
When you look at a bean, a coal, or a straw, or any ordinary object, do you feel emotions for them?
Yeah. Well,
What stood out to you the most in the story, or what caught your attention the most?
I love straws.
You love straws?
They help me drink better.
Straws help you drink better.
It's like the hay.
It's the wrong
that
straw.
horses
Yeah.
eat.
Hey, bud.
It's hay, dude. Remember horses eat? And sheep eat? Eat cows.
Asher, anything else you want to add?
Dying.
Dying?
Wow.
Okay.
That was moving. Not.